I'm David Consolazio from University of Milan. First of all, thank you for being here. I'm also a researcher in the field of health inequalities. I would define myself a social epidemiologist, but today I'm here with another identity because I'm a research fellow on the Infraconnection project, and in particular in the EVS side, European Value Side. So together with Alexandra and Julia, who's not here today with us, but is working hard on this project. We are all working on together. So we are supporting the project, the Infraconnection project. And I will give you a more technical presentation about the data sources and the tools that you can use to answer your question, in this case about health inequalities and health topic in general, but the data sets and the tools that I will show you today will be useful for any other pillar of the Next Generation EU program. So all the issues that have been covering the infra for Next Gen and even beyond. So even if you have other research questions, I'm sure that you can find something useful. So the project is built around the five major European cross-national survey infrastructure, which are the European Social Survey, that is the leader of the Infrastructure Region project, the European Body Study, which is represented by me, Gender and Generation Surveys, and then we have also the HITSP, which has been mentioned several times today, and the EQLS, the European Quality of Life Survey. For a reason of time, we will focus on the first three, so the ESS, EDS, and the GGS today, and plus we will talk, but Alexandra will do that. We'll talk a lot about Kronos, that's still part of ESS, but is a different thing, and it has been really mentioned several times also Kronos today, but Alexandra will deepen the knowledge about this survey infrastructure, and I promise that there will be a lot of news for you today. So first of all, you might ask yourself why these surveys matter, and it is because they ensure coordination and comparability, as we just saw regarding the health pillars, and they allow for repeated cross-sectional design and sometimes even longitudinal design. They follow the high methodological standards, the highest methodological standard, because in principle now with internet communication technology, everyone is able to prepare a survey and to spread it all around the web, but to let's say build, to prepare and get the answer uh, from a high quality survey is another thing, and this survey infrastructure exactly do that. And all the data are shared in the form of open data. So you just need a login, a free login with any of your like Google account or something similar to download the data. And they are essential for social science research and policy analysis. So I would say that they are quite interesting. We I will go very quickly to three of them. So the ESS provides high quality open data, um, measuring about, sorry, they provide high quality open data measuring public attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. So it's about survey data gathered at the individual level, and then of course you can aggregate your analysis at the country level, also other intermediate unit of analysis, but they are gathered at the individual level. It's about European countries, cross-sectional, made mostly of face-to-face interviews with some exceptions during the COVID pandemic. And the project started in 2002, and every 2 years we have a new wave. So we have 11 waves so far, and again, it's all freely available on the internet in the format of open data. In this map, you can see that nearly every European country has been part of the ESS in a round or more. In the green color in the map, you find countries that have participated to all the 11 rounds, but you can see that in general, the ESS has been delivered throughout the whole Europe, more or less. And what is the topic of the ESF? So the main focus is about social and political attitudes, trust in institutions, democracy, immigration, welfare attitudes, and well-being. But the distinctive trait is that there is, in every wave, there is a core module, so a set of questions that are repeated every wave in identical or more or less identical form. That there could be some minor adjustment. But there are rotating modules. So every 2 years, this fixed part is accompanied by a more flexible part, this rotating module, which allows to cover aspects that might be particularly relevant in a given time. And so these characteristics provide flexible shape to the server infrastructure. For instance, go from the presentation a bit because I want to show you that in the latest wave, the 11th wave, but also in the 7th wave, so in ESS7, ESS11, we have a rotated module specifically focused on social inequalities in health. And here you can see all the answers that have been asked, sorry, all the questions that have been asked in wave 7 and wave 11. Most of them you see have been repeated, so you can make temporal comparison, and it is exactly the meaning of having these rotating modules. And these questions are all about the topics that INSA and Teles presented. This is just an example, but there are a lot of other rotating modules that you can find on the ESS website. So go back to the presentation and talk a bit about the European Value Studies. That is the most ancient cross-national survey infrastructure in Europe. It started in 1981, but it is conducted every 9 years. And so far, we have 5 waves, and the new one is fielding right now. So we are asking questions in European countries in this exact moment, probably. It is a large professional survey at the ESS, but the focus is different because it's on values and cultural change, and again, open data. Also, the EVS has been delivered throughout all Europe. We reached the peak of 47 countries in 2008. Now, in the latest wave, 2017, the number lower a bit to 37, but still relevant. And we are more or less the same number for the new wave that is ongoing. But again, in general, every European country has participated at least to one of the EBS wave. And the focus is quite different compared to the ESS because it's about religion, family values, work ethics, morality, political culture, social norms. So the distinctive trait is that it is focused on long-term value change, and this is the reason why it is delivered every 9 years because social and cultural change is slow in its onset. So we don't need to ask the same questions every 2 years. 9 years is enough. And yeah, so the main focus is on these cultural and normative dimensions. So it is fundamental for the study of deep social and cultural change. And then we have the GGS that is longitudinal instead. So it is different in its structure compared to the ESS and EVS that are cross-sectional. And the focus is also different because it's about demographic behavior mostly, family and life course dynamics, but again, open data. As you can see, it's not only about Europe. Europe has a quite extensive coverage, but some Asian countries and South American countries and also Australia is covered. The first wave took place in 2004, and then we have 2 waves with some, um, sorry, two rounds with different waves. Being a longitudinal study, the same individual, the same persons are interviewed again and again. So it is possible to uh, have to study not only the cross-country differences, but also the within individual differences. And the main focus, again, is completely different compared to ESS and EDS because it's about demography, so fertility intentions and behaviors, partnership formation and dissolution, intergenerational relationship, work-family balance, gender roles, and so on. So the distinctive trait is that it allows for the possibility to study life course perspective in a dynamic way, thanks to the longitudinal design and to focus on micro-level demographic processes. And it is tailored for the study, again, for familiar and demographic dynamics. And this is just a table with a summary. So if later on you need to have it more, a more condensed view of these differences, commonalities and differences between the three serving infrastructure, you have it here. And in general, you might ask yourself, so what? When to use which one? And in general, you might want to use the ESS when you're interested in studying trust, democracy, welfare attitudes, and when you want to compare countries on political attitudes. And the EDS instead is better if you want to study these long-term value change and your topic are religion, morality, norms, cultural transformations in general, and the UGS in general when you want to study fertility, partnerships, life course transitions, intergenerational relations, and so on. And I put some examples of some hypotheses or the research questions that it is possible to answer with each of these survey infrastructure. But the most important thing to highlight is that these infrastructure are complementary rather than competing. So they are not competitor in a let's say private market. They are complementary, and indeed, this is exactly what the infra for next gen projects aims to. So to put all these server infrastructure, not only ESS, EDS, and GDS, but also other existing infrastructure, and to make them communicate each other, so to complement each other, because there are some commonalities, so some questions that have been repeated throughout these questionnaires, or some other that can enlarge the spectrum of analysis, of possibility of analysis. So the idea is to empower these software, these sources. And we have been doing this in several ways. So the first one is that we prepared, we built this inventory of survey items about the ESS, EDS, GGS, ISSP, EQNS, and the Eurobarometer and Chronos as well. So basically, open the questionnaire, I open the tool, sorry, it is freely available on the Info4 Gen website. The issue is that when you want to start your analysis in general, the first thing you have to do is knowing where you can get the questions, so the data. And as you can see, there are a lot of sources, and it might be challenging at the beginning, especially if you are at the beginning of your career as a researcher, to understand where the questions that you need are, when they have been asked, if they have been repeated or not, and so on and so forth. And you have to go to each website to each server website and to download a different PDF file with the questionnaires and to move across between them. And it might be complicated. So the idea was, why don't we make this inventory? Why don't we put all the questions that are relevant to one or more of the five pillar of the next generation you, so make it strong, healthy, equal, digital, and green, and put all together in a spreadsheet so that people can navigate them with some feature don't need to go to different web environment anymore. Why don't we centralize everything in a single tool? And we did it. And so you can see that it is just an Excel spreadsheet that has been uploaded online in a nice way. And here, if you open, you have all the questions. But of course, the nice thing is that you can navigate it with these features. So for instance, I can feature for all the Make It Healthy pillar. And in an instant, I get all the questions that have been asked in all these survey infrastructure regarding health. So there has been a manual check by me, Julia, and Ruxandra. So every question has been read and it has flagged or not as relevant for any of the pillar. And so you can see all the health related questions. But you can also search by keyword and you can do it independently or combine to these other filters. So for instance, I want questions about smoking. I just type smoking and here in an instant, these are filtered. And again, I can select also the pillar. And suppose that I know in advance that I want to work exclusively with some survey, to say the ESS and Chronos, I can filter the survey as well and the year. So suppose that I'm interested in focus on recent waves, I can select them and filter. So it's very easy. You can also download not the actual data, the data set. To do that, you have to go back to the server website, but you can download the Excel spreadsheet. So you can export this view that you have here, save it on your local machine. And the keyword work with, also with a Boolean operator, so you might want to write and or and be your own specific keyword. So it's very simple to use. Just play around, and you can see that you have some settings to explore. But again, it's very intuitive. So just go there and play with it, and I'm pretty sure that it can be very interesting and useful for your upcoming analysis. Then, oh yeah, this is just a table with the numbers. So you can see that, for instance, for the health we had in total 2,300 items, questions, 1,450 of which comes for the Eurobarometer, and the remaining are from the most from the five survey infrastructure. And in general, we see that we have almost 11,000 items, and this is the link again. Oh yeah, I already talked about this, the issue and the stuff. So what is the inventory? Another thing is Gazy search. So other server infrastructure are present in the Gazy search. For instance, if you want to download the European values study, you have to go to this website. The Gazy is the German institution for archiving social science data, and there's a lot of information both from the major surveys like EDS and ICT. You can see that you can download the data sets here, but also from minor studies. So if you have kind of local project in your university and you want to make your data available, you can do it in this archive. So you can find a lot of other um, data, and you can also search by keyword. So I never did that about health behaviors, but let's try. Suppose you want to find something about health behaviors. Here you can see you can filter the research data or directly the variables. You see in which health behaviors are mentioned. So it is another compressive tool that might be of interest for search about information on the topic you want to analyze. Again, very intuitive, easy to use. So you just go there and play around. Another thing is the e-value tool that basically it is a way to visualize the value, the data of the European values study in this interactive way. So instead of downloading the data and make your own analysis with your statistical software, you can see the geographical distribution of some key indicators already online without needing to have a basic competitive statistical analysis or in general in territorial analysis. And this is about the EVS only, the e-value, but such software, such tool was so much appreciated. Yeah, sorry, I'm going back and forth the slides. That in the context, yeah, sorry, I lost, yeah. In the context of the Infra for Next Gen project, we decided to develop an eNext Gen tool that is basically the same, but not limited to the European value study, but covering all the survey infrastructure that we are talking about. So the project was expanded, but the logic is the same. You select um, a question that is of interest for you. So now is in work in progress. So it will be populated with other variables, but just to pick one randomly, you can see if like the percentage of tension between old and young people in Europe, and you can stratify your analysis by gender, age, educational level, rural, urban dimensions, or a combination of them. And you can also have a keyword search, and these slider allow you to move between different years. And if you click on compare map, the screen is split between two maps, and so you can compare, for instance, the same indicator between men and women or different years, and so on and so forth. Again, everything is made with with the intention to be easily navigatable. In particular, this tool has been developed for didactic purposes. It is used a lot in secondary, upper secondary, and also lower secondary school by teacher to show basic information at an aggregate level, but nonetheless, it can be useful also for more advanced purposes. Oh yeah, and there is also the possibility to explore the data in a traditional format, not in math. You just need to click on explore, and you see that you have this graph with the percentage and the flags. So other ways to visualize the data. And then, yeah, the last one I will show you is the GGS teaching dataset. So probably not useful already today for your later uh, assignments today, but if you want to start working on, with longitudinal data, you know that especially if you are at the beginning of your career as a researcher, uh, working with longitudinal data is a bit difficult, or at least more complicated than working with a cross-sectional data set because you have to organize your data set in a certain form and move from long to wide data set. You have repeated observation for the same individual and so on and so forth. And sometimes it's difficult, again, to organize the data set. But the GGS made a couple of teaching data set indeed that have been prepared exactly for these purposes to start learning how to work with such kind of data. And in particular, there is a starter data set and an advanced data set with more variables, more complicated, and they are provided in SPSS, data, and Excel format. And so they are very interesting if you want to not only to start to learn, but with the advanced data set, I guess that you can also make some analysis that can be potentially published on an academic journal. And there are a couple of tutorials, video tutorials, and again, the data sets that you can download, and these topics about more graphic topics about fertility intention and so on and so forth. You see that cover also the health topic because you have the module on well-being, mental health, happiness, loneliness. So if you are interested in social inequalities of health in general, it is a very useful resources. I guess I finished my part. So my suggestion for today is that you can use these tools, which are all here. And are, yeah, to search for the questions that you might want to be used in your assignment later on in this workshop, unless you know the data very well because you work with them in the past. It's a nice way to start exploring them, and Sandra will also show you how to use another tool that is the online data portal for the ESS and Chronos data.